Monroe County 911, Packard 8. What state that's in your emergency?
Hi. So we were exploring a abandoned building, and I think we found a dead body.
March 2nd, 2023. In an abandoned detention center, a group of high school students have found something horrifying.
Like, he moved, like, a door that was on the ground, and underneath it was his heart, and under his heart, he saw a foot.
Wrapped in a shower curtain and bound with duct tape is the body of a woman. This woman is Kayla Sedoskey. She was 23 and the mother of a young boy.
Tell me about Kayla.
She was such a sweetheart. Oh my God.
We used to hang out all the time, but then we stopped hanging out because she started hanging out with a bunch of dudes, and I wasn't trying to be along to tell her.
She scared me. Then I told her that one day. I said, ain't no female ever scared me, but you.
Kayla means different things to different people, but everybody agrees she was special. But one thing they can't agree on is how she wound up dead and why. And as the cops dig deeper, they start to realize her death goes beyond murder. They're uncovering a conspiracy.
About 10 minutes after sitting in the dark, all I heard was stop. Boom, 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 Steve, and then nothing.
And I also have the videos of the killer admitting that she killed this person.
With exclusive police body cam and interview footage, here on The Decoder, this is the chilling story of Kayla Sedoskey. The Monroe County Police Department received the 911 call at around 9 p.m. The voice on the other end of the line is just a scared kid who got a lot more than he bargained for when he and his friends walked into the abandoned Boysville Juvenile Detention Center about 30 miles south of Detroit.
I just wanted to see if it was real or not. And we went there and we moved it, and like we saw her.
A few minutes later, the cops arrive on the scene.
I saw some open windows and doors over here.
Walking through. Stay please! Guys, I'm buying. Go ahead. Oh. Hey, please! You're in here!
They find Kayla's body in the center's gymnasium. She's been shot 3 times with a .22 caliber handgun, twice in the head and once in the back. Matching shell casings are on the floor beside her body, which has been covered by a shower curtain and an old door. There's some oily substance on her legs, and there's also a tea light candle beside her head. The cops are able to identify her at the scene using a portable fingerprint scanner. This leads them to a part of the job they dread, notifying Kayla's mother, Paulette, of her death. But Paulette, while devastated, isn't that surprised. She says that no one has heard from Kayla since February 15th, over 2 weeks ago. Kayla was homeless, living under a bridge. She was last seen at the Oaks of Righteousness soup kitchen by her boyfriend at the time. That day, he witnessed her talking on the phone to someone, but she wouldn't tell him who it was. And when they parted ways that night, and he never heard from her again, he assumed she'd ghosted him, and he was hurt, but didn't suspect anything worse. Scanning CCTV of the local area, the cops find her on video on the Rossler Street Bridge, where she was staying at 11:01 p.m. that night. She's walking across it, but she stops and turns around when a black Mercury Milan approaches her. This is the last time she's ever seen alive, meaning whoever was driving that car is a person of interest in this case. Her boyfriend has a suspect in mind already. Her ex, a 44-year-old man named Stephen Bales. Apparently, he's threatened Kayla in the past, and he has an extensive criminal record, including past sexual offenses. She had a personal protective order against him and had called the cops on him several times. He also owns a Mercury Milan that matches the description of the car seen in the CCTV that fateful night. The cops want to speak to him as a matter of urgency, but he's not at home. On March 6th, they call him to schedule an interview. He tells them he's on honeymoon in Arizona with his new wife, 24-year-old Narina. In the background of the call, they can hear another man, Bryn, or Brian Smith. Steve tells the cops, "I want to go on record. Me and Brian are not on the run." He says he'll call them back the next day and hangs up. He does not call them back. Meanwhile, he comments on one of Kayla's Facebook posts, writing, "Heading to Arizona for the rest of our honeymoon. Then we be home to deal with all the interrogation. If the police want to talk to me, I have nothing to hide." But he most certainly has something to hide. His ex-girlfriend comes to the cops to report that he once said if he were going to kill someone, then he'd leave their body in Boysville, the perfect hiding place. And then someone else comes to the cops, Bryn's aunt. She thinks her nephew was somehow involved in Kayla's death. By now, Bryn is in Ohio, so on March 13th, the cops there pick him up.
You think you might also be wanted too for?
I know I'm wanted, and there's like 7 other people who are wanted because they don't know who did it.
Oh, wow.
But I'm letting you know, I have videos of the person that did it admitting to it.
He thinks he might be wanted for murder too.
I think I am. I'm not sure if I am.
Okay, well, we'll
But we
figure
all
out.
lived in the same house, so.
Y'all lived in the same house and this girl was killed?
Yeah, by someone who else who lived there.
He's adamant that he didn't kill Kayla, but he has the evidence to show who did.
Okay, I want to see what you have to show us because it sounds like you've got a lot of information that can help us out.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to talk to us and answer questions?
That's completely fine with me.
Awesome.
As long as it clears my damn name and
That's
I'm not wanted.
that's what I'm hoping to do here.
This whole time, like the whole time I talked to you on the phone and like through all this thing, I've been trying to run away.
Okay.
Okay, like I've been trying to get away from this man, but he will trap you.
Okay.
He uses you for your money. He'll take your money. He'll take your phone. He'll take your bridge cards. He'll take whatever you have.
Okay.
Today was my day. He went into the gas station, and this time didn't come in with him. Once he went in there, I ran.
Okay, and I'm glad you got away. Sounds like he's a scary guy.
Scary isn't a word for it.
This scary guy, according to Bryn, is Stephen Bales.
Okay, how did you meet Steve?
Steve is my cousin, not by blood, but by marriage. From
Okay.
my dad's side.
And how did you get hooked up where you were living with him? And then what happened?
I was going through town, and he had stopped on the side of the road and seen me. It was like, we started talking, and he finally found out it was my cousin, and I told him I was homeless. He took me in, and bad idea.
And you left Monroe on the 15th of February.
With them, yes.
Okay, and who's them?
Stephen and Narina. Narina's his wife.
So it's just the 3 of you?
Yes.
And just out of curiosity, if they just got married, why are they bringing Bryn Smith along?
Because I was their driver.
Okay. And why? I'm just curious. Usually a honeymoon is kind of an intimate time for husband.
I thought the same thing. But I know what it is.
What's that?
He knew I wanted to leave, so he brought me with him so I couldn't leave.
Okay.
Same thing with his daughter. She wanted to leave but could never leave, but now she got the chance to leave. Now she's on the streets.
Who's his daughter?
Cece.
Sierra.
Bemis.
Okay.
Yeah.
This Sierra is Sierra Bemis, 24 years old. She's not actually related to Steve.
You went to Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, so where in Florida did she go?
West Palm Beach. By the way, the whole time he was telling you that he was in Arizona and in Arkansas and in Texas and all that, that was a lie.
Okay.
He lied right to you.
Okay. And did you want to go?
No.
Why did you go?
Because I was forced.
And I'm not questioning you, I just need to understand what's going on. How were you forced?
Forced as in if I said no, I was possibly could have been hurt.
Does he control his wife like this too, or is she...
Everybody. Sierra, me. When Kayla did live with him, he controlled her like that.
Do you know Kayla Sedoskey?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about her.
She's my ex-girlfriend. I lived with Steve for about 4 or 5 months. She was already living there when I came around. Around Christmas time, he had kicked her out for a little incident that they had. You got that part? Mm-hmm. Ever since Christmas time, I haven't heard from her. I haven't seen her.
Okay. So he kicked you, how long did you date her?
I was only with her for like a couple weeks.
Bryn maintains that the last time he saw Kayla was at Christmas, It's all part of his effort to clear his name and implicate Steve.
You know the old Boysville facility?
No, don't even know.
Okay, have you ever been there at all?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of Boysville?
Yes.
What can you tell me about Kayla's death?
Nothing I don't know.
Pardon?
Nothing that I don't know except the videos that I have. The only thing I know about her death is that she was shot twice and why.
Why do you think she was shot twice?
Because apparently she threatened the girl's son that did it.
Okay.
I have it on video. That's why I said I
let's
want
watch
to show
the
you.
video. Let's watch the video.
This is where your money is.
How many? I know you didn't say the number I heard, right? 16? 16 people. What? That's crazy.
And you haven't never been to jail for it.
So that's one. She's killed 16 people for her death.
Bryn's eager to provide commentary for the cops, strangely eager. They ask him to quiet down.
My first time going through this. That's why I'm trying to get you to listen to what I'm telling you to do. You think I got away with it with 16 others?
16 other people?
Yeah. Kayla's not me first.
So if it comes out to it, you tell them it wasn't us because everyone thinks it's us right now. And it's kind of messed up. Like, I think Steve's a killer, my family thinks I'm a killer.
If you've seen the comments on Facebook, I'm trying to divert it off of us.
Did what you did?
Right.
So, we know, and you shot twice. Where did you put the gun?
In the river.
That's it.
Okay. So that's Kayla, what's her last name?
Ramsey.
Okay, Kayla Ramsey is talking. And who's recording that?
Steve. I was asking her questions.
So you were the one interviewing her on all those videos? You're the
On
one
all
asking-
those.
Okay.
33-year-old Kaylin Ramsey has also been living with Steve and Bryn, but she didn't go with them on the honeymoon. Bryn says he recorded the videos over the phone because she was acting nervous and out of character. But these videos don't necessarily show what Bryn wants them to show. The way Kaylin's talking implies that Bryn is somehow complicit.
Did you know Kayla was dead at that point?
No. I thought Kayla was still alive.
But the recording would suggest otherwise.
Okay, so now I know you said you've never been to Boysville. Obviously we have a lot of ways we can track people, and we probably know a lot more about you than you realize, and including your whereabouts in the past month, et cetera, et cetera. Is there any reason at all when that's pinged or anything is pinged that's going to show that you were at Boysville the night that she was killed?
Ping if you please.
Okay, is there any reason it's going to show that you were there?
No.
Okay.
That's why I'm here. Ping if you please. Analyze if you please.
Okay. If you had been involved in her death, would you tell us?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Honest person. I'm sure anybody involved in death wouldn't turn their own self in. That would be stupid. Kayla needs to go to jail so my family stop thinking I'm a killer.
His attitude is curiously selfish. He's not that interested in justice for Kayla, and the cops don't believe that he's as innocent as he claims. Around the same time, they're contacted by a local journalist with Fox News who tells them she's been sent these same recordings by Steve Bales in a possible, misguided attempt to clear his name. This just increases the detectives' suspicions. But their next port of call is to interview Kaylin Ramsey, which they do the following day, March 14th.
I'm Mike Peterson, work with Michigan State Police. I know you have an attorney present. This is protocol for us. So what's going wrong right now?
Me living my life in fear. And it shouldn't be like this. I should be able to just live my life and not have to worry about anything.
And why are you living in fear?
Because of this guy, Stephen Bales.
Okay, why are you so afraid of Stephen Bales?
He's threatened my life.
Okay, how does he threaten you?
He's threatened to kill me.
And what specifically did he say?
He told me if I ever left, he'd kill me.
Do you know Kayla Sedoskey?
I knew of her. She was one of my friends at one point until I moved out here 3 years ago and we lost contact. Last contact I had with her was just shortly before whatever happened to her, and it kills me. I had just talked to her about maybe the day before or maybe a few days before she had passed at the grocery store.
Okay. When was that?
Around Valentine's Day.
Tell me everything you know about Kayla's death.
I know nothing about her death. Absolutely nothing.
Well, what you know something about her death because you knew she died, right?
I only know what was on the news.
Okay, what was on the news?
That she was found covered in a tarp and stuff. That's all I know.
Did you discuss this with anyone?
No.
Not even your boyfriend?
Nobody. Except for my lawyer. That's
Except for
it.
your lawyer.
Kaylin doesn't know that the police have Bryn's recordings.
Who do you think is responsible for her death?
Stephen Bales.
Why?
Because he's threatened to kill her too.
How do you know?
I've heard him on the phone with somebody saying I'm going to kill her. I thought he was referring to me.
Then how do you know she's referring to Kayla? He was referring to Kayla.
I couldn't tell him who he was referring to when he
So-
said I was going to kill her.
Okay, and I just want to be clear, because and I'm not doubting your question, but
Putting two and two together,
Okay, but you-
now I see who he meant.
you're not sure though. Are you familiar with the old Boysville facility in?
No, I'm not. I don't even know where that's located.
So have you ever been there?
No.
No. Okay. You're guaranteed you've never been there.
Guaranteed I've never been there. I don't even know where it's located.
Okay. So there would be no reason your DNA will be up there when the crime lab comes back with everything. There's
Nope.
absolutely zero chance.
Zero chance.
Okay. Do you remember talking to Steve and Bryn on the phone? You were on FaceTime, and they were talking about Kayla's death. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Okay. Would it surprise you if I told you, and again, I'm not lying, if I told you they recorded you saying that you killed Kayla? Would that surprise you?
Are you serious? Because I would never kill anybody a day in my life.
The cops show her Bryn's recordings.
They were clearly trying to set me up.
Is that you?
Because they know they're guilty. I was all forced. They forced me to say all that.
Let's watch them all, and then I want to hear. Obviously, I want your side to that. Right? That's why we're here. So what is your side to that?
My side to it is I had nothing to do with Kayla's death.
Okay. So what is your side to your statements on that?
I'm in disgust with that because that's not me.
Well, that was you on the video. So
But I'm saying that's not the person I
that's not
am.
the person you are. I'm not suggesting that is the person you are.
Kaylin has no meaningful defense. It is her on the videos, and she can't explain it.
They were sitting there before they left, trying to rehearse things.
Okay.
And then I guess before they started recording me, they were rehearsing it with me without me even knowing it.
What do you mean they were rehearsing with you?
Telling me to say all this stuff.
What did they tell you to say?
Exactly what was said in those videos.
So tell me about that whole conversation, because I guess I'm not understanding. Because if I knew someone were dead, right?
Right.
Hypothetically, and if someone were saying, "Hey, I want you to say, we're going to be talking on FaceTime. Let's rehearse this. I want you to say you shot her." Is that logical for you to say, "Okay, yeah, let's have a game"? That's not really logical.
At this point, Kaylin takes a break to consult her lawyer. When she comes back, her attitude has changed.
Where are we at?
I want you to talk about what happened on the 15th.
Steve Bales came to me and told me that he had killed Kayla.
You said on the 15th, Steve Bales came to you and said, where was this conversation?
At the apartment.
What time?
Oh, shoot. I know it was after like 1 or 2 in the morning. He came to me and told me.
And what did he say?
He said I killed Kayla. Because she owed me money.
How does that explain the video?
He said he'd kill me if I didn't do it. On those videos.
When
If I
did
didn't do those videos, he said he'd kill me.
Who was present when the videos were taken?
Steve and Brendan themselves.
What about
And his wife was there.
The problem for the cops is why she wouldn't tell them she was being threatened in the first place. Why not confess to the videos at the start?
Can we clean the slate and start over and get the full story here? Because right now, Kayla, that's not it. You're giving me half truths there. Let's start from the beginning. Help you, help me, help you.
You want to talk to me again?
I think I'm done for today.
Okay.
My stress level's getting too high. It's literally making me sick.
The cops take a DNA sample. Then she's free to go. For now. Phone records reveal that Stephen called one number multiple times in the early hours of February 16th, right around the time of Kayla's death. The number belongs to 26-year-old Alexander Fecco. We have the audio of the cops' first interview with him.
They were just saying that they got somebody good. I don't know if they're referring to beating them up.
When you say they, Alex,
meant,
who was they?
They weren't specific.
When you're saying that they were talking about it, Steve and somebody else?
Oh yeah, Steve and the people that he lived with. Like they were living together with like 8 people in one apartment.
So Sierra was there with this conversation?
Yeah.
This killing is slowly revealing itself to be anything but simple.
Bryn had mentioned that he lured said girl, I forget her name, what was it, Kayla? He lured said girl through Facebook to get her to go, because like they told me, the little you know, the better.
It's sounding increasingly like a conspiracy. But so far, it's mostly hearsay, until the cops search Steve's Mercury Milan. In the trunk, they find a bag of tea light candles, just like the one found beside Kayla's head at the crime scene. They also find an oily substance, which is a match for the substance found on Kayla's legs. It turns out to be sun lotion, and it's evidence that she was in the trunk of Steve's car. According to phone records, Bryn offered that Kayla, who is currently sleeping in a tent under a bridge, could sleep in his car. On the evening of February 15th, she changed his name in her phone to boyfriend with 3 heart emojis. Meanwhile, phone records also show that on February 10th, about 5 days before her death, Bryn messaged Steve saying, "I got Kayla. She is in my hands now." And, "She fell right in my trap." Steve replied, LOL. They were preying on her desperation, and they were doing it together. On April 3rd, the cops bring Sierra in.
So here's the deal. Like I said downstairs, I'm Detective Peterson. I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions today. What I need from you is your word of honor. You're going to be 100% honest. Okay? I would rather you walk out, just leave right now, rather than tell me a single lie. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
A lot.
A lot? Like what?
Being accused for some stuff that I haven't done.
Like what?
The whole Kayla thing.
You were being accused of that?
Sierra has a unique window onto the dynamics of the household.
So were Kaylin and Steve, were they romantically involved?
Yes.
Okay. And Kayla and Steve were romantically involved?
Yes.
And so Kaylin, you're saying, no, I don't want to put words in your mouth, was jealous of Kayla?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Because I heard him talking about it all the time.
She starts out by denying she knows anything about Kayla's death. But when the detectives warn her about potential jail time, she begins to talk.
I know Kevin killed her.
Tell me more.
She took her to the gated building with Steve and Brian.
Pardon me?
Took her to the building with Steve and Brian.
Kaylin took her?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because Steve went with her. Kaylin and Steve plotted the death.
Tell me about that.
I don't know how they plotted it. I just know that they plotted it and tried to get me about. And Steve and Brian all went to the building.
All went to the building?
Yes.
Okay, did anyone else go to the building?
No.
Are you sure? Who else went to the building?
Me.
Okay, so you were there. Okay, tell me about that.
I was sitting in the car.
Tell me about the planning of this.
that they had Brian go get her and take her to the building.
She reveals it was Bryn driving the Mercury Milan, not Steve.
So how did you get from the apartment to, we're talking Boysville, correct?
Yes.
How did you get there?
And Marina with Kaylin and Steve.
In the black Dodge SUV.
Yes.
What Steve and Kaylin were talking about in the parking lot of Boysville.
And they were talking about having Steve stand right here, and then Kaylin stand right here, and then shoot her in like the side of her head.
Okay. And where were they going to do this?
At the building.
Inside or outside the building?
Inside.
Okay. You heard gunshots?
Yes.
Okay. How many gunshots did you hear? One or more than one?
Two.
You heard two.
Yes.
Okay. And so you heard two gunshots. Were you could hear that inside the car?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you think when you heard the gunshots?
I started freaking out. They told me how they killed her.
Okay. And what did they tell you? Or was there a plan that you know of? What did Bryn tell Kayla to get her to go inside the Boysville?
That he wanted to talk to her.
So he convinced her to go inside Boysville because he wanted to talk to her?
Yes.
Why did Bryn want her dead?
Because of Steve.
What do you mean?
Because Steve told him we should kill her.
Okay, so he was kind of doing it on behalf of Steve.
Like everybody else, Sierra's insisting that Steve was the mastermind of the murder. Is this true, or is she just trying to protect herself?
Where did they get the gun from?
From Alex.
From Alex who?
Echo.
They got the gun from him?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you know this?
Because he told me about it.
Alex didn't mention this in his interview with the police.
Did Alex know that they were going to use it to kill Kayla? Did they tell him?
Yes.
Did Alex come over the next morning? And that's when they gave him the gun back? When did they give him the gun back?
I think it was like a day after.
Was Narina involved in the planning of this at all?
Yes.
She was.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
She knew about the whole thing.
She knew all about it.
Seems like no one involved in this case is innocent.
When they came out after shooting her, did they have her phone?
Yes.
What did they do with her phone?
They threw it on my baby.
And they took steps to cover their tracks. But with so many conspirators, it was a house of cards and just a matter of time before the cops caught up with them. 3 days later, felony warrants for homicide are issued for Sierra, Kaylin, Bryn, and Steve.
No, I don't understand why I'm being charged.
Okay,
I'm not a violent person.
Well, you're being charged with first-degree murder of Kayla Sedoskey.
I had nothing to do with her murder. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yes, I admit that, but I didn't kill nobody.
The cops don't agree. They track Steve and Narina to North Carolina, where he barricades them in a bedroom and refuses to comply. The cops have to call in SWAT and use tear gas to subdue them. When they've done so, they first interview Narina, and she readily confirms Sierra's story.
Steve, Bryn, Kaylin, and Sierra.
Yeah.
Do they go to Boysville, or do they go to pick up?
They went to go pick Kayla.
All together.
All together. Steve told Alex that we're gonna go with this guys we're gonna go kill somebody.
But you knew at that point that they were going to pick up Kayla to kill her.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. And at that point, and just out of curiosity, any reason you didn't call the police?
I did not call the police.
Any reason you didn't?
No.
Again, she showcases a chilling lack of remorse or even acknowledgement that what they did was wrong.
What did Steve tell you when they got back?
Steve told me that I hope you're by my side through all to do this because I'm going to be by your side, but I'm not going to keep you out of trouble.
Narina does remember an argument Kayla had with Kaylin right around Christmas time, when Kayla was kicked out.
Kayla stated that she was my first son.
Kaylin's son.
Yes.
And what did Kaylin say at that time?
Kaylin said I'm going to kill you and you respect it.
Kaylin said that to her?
Yeah.
And Kaylin apparently did just that. And Steve had his reasons as well.
He literally told me straight in my eye the reason why I killed her, the reason why I did what I did, because she put me in prison for 2 years.
Kayla had accused him of choking her, and she went to the police about it. Now that he was a free man, he was out for revenge. Narina also has an explanation for the sun lotion found on Kayla's body.
Lotion, all of it confined to have not have that smell, that smell.
The group were thinking of everything so as not to get caught, and Narina had her own role to play.
I had a police kid on the phone. I was actually listening for them to do.
While Sierra was the lookout outside Boysville, Narina was the lookout back at home. She'd let the group know if the cops were on their way. But they didn't come, not until 2 weeks later. They placed Narina under arrest, and they do the same to Alex Fecco, who's also finally coming clean.
She said that she shot her 3 times. The first bullet got her in the face, and the second bullet, first the gun jammed. First bullet, gun jammed. She re-racked it, shot her in the face.
This information, that Kayla was shot 3 times, including in the face, was not released to the press. Alex says he disposed of the gun first by burying it, and then, thinking better of it, by throwing it in somebody else's trash can. His search history backs this up. On February 17th, he searched how to destroy DNA, and on February 22nd, he looked up accessory after the fact.
So when was the night that Kayla got hurt?
It had to have been the night of their wedding. I believe it was the night of their wedding. Like, they just crazily went out and, that was their ritual, so to speak, that they wanted to kill right after getting married.
The group is starting to sound more like a cult, and it doesn't end there. In the search warrant executed on Steve's property, the cops discovered a notebook. In the notebook was a handwritten page of wedding plans, which identified Steve and Narina as Grim and Lady Death, and said, "This song goes out to the new Reaper couple." It seems like they're obsessed with death, and murder was the ideal wedding gift. One by one, the dominoes are falling, but they're still trying to blame each other.
You just pick up her, you alone, or you with anybody else?
Oh no, there was someone else in the car.
Who was with you?
Steve, laying on the back floorboard of the car.
The others, meanwhile, say that Steve was already waiting at Boysville.
How did Bryn get Kayla to come with her into Boysville?
He acted like he was going to get her high and make her relaxed and comfortable and all this other crap.
You're driving, you pick her up, you didn't say anything about Steve?
No.
And you're driving to Boysville?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you drive directly there?
Yeah.
No stopping, no eating, no drinking, no nothing?
She questions me when I pass the house.
When you pass which house?
The apartment building.
Oh.
When I passed the apartment building, once I turned on the Nano Road, she asked me where were we going, and I told her, I'm just going to get high, because I really didn't know what to say at that point.
Okay.
Kayla had no idea what she was walking into.
And then Steve, Bryn, and Kayla all went down to, I guess, the gymnasium part or wherever she was at, and that's when Steve had shot her, because I heard the shots.
So he puts a gun. Steve Bales puts a gun to Kayla's back.
Mm-hmm. Not at first. He points it at me first.
And tells you to get in the car.
Tells me to get in the car and don't leave. She don't say nothing. She's literally in shock. About 10 minutes of after sitting in the dark, all I heard was stop, boom, 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 Steve, and then nothing. And then about 5 minutes later, Steve came out and got in the car.
Bryn was present. Bryn wasn't present. Kaylin killed Kayla. Steve killed Kayla. Who's lying? And who's telling the truth?
When did they leave for Florida?
The 3rd, I believe. I believe it was the 3rd.
Okay,
March.
So when did they leave for Myrtle Beach?
I'm not sure.
Obviously after Kayla's death, though.
Yes.
Okay. And why did they leave on the 3rd?
He was afraid he was going to get caught right then and there.
Why? What was there an event that happened there?
Someone had gotten a hold of him, letting them know that someone had found Kayla's body.
Okay.
And it freaked him out.
Do you think he's legitimately going on honeymoon, or what do you think?
I believe one of two factors. I believe the fact that he actually went on a honeymoon, and I believe the fact that he's running too. Because he said he was going for like 2 or 3 days.
Because what?
He said he was going for like 2 or 3 days, and he's still there. And when we got there, it was kind of weird. He changed his hair color. He dyed his hair black.
With none of these suspects willing to talk further, the cops have one last person to interview: Stephen Bales himself.
We know, and I'm just letting you know ahead of time, because I'm a very candid guy, right? So we know everything about you. We know everything about Bryn. We know everything about Kaylin. We know everything about Sierra. We know everything about Narina. Everyone. So the reason why I'm telling you this is we would love you to fill in some details.
My wife's not locked up.
So the reason why I'm telling you this is we'd love for you to fill in some details, but if you tell us any lies, both of us immediately are going to know.
I want to say I did not kill that girl.
Okay.
Me and my wife were on a honeymoon. We went down to, we got married on the 14th.
What time did you leave on the 15th?
Sometime in the afternoon.
Just 5 minutes into his interview, he's already lying. The cops know, thanks to phone records and surveillance footage, to say nothing of witness statements, that Steve was still in Michigan in the early hours of the 16th.
You know Kayla Sedoskey?
That's my ex-girlfriend. Me and her have had passed for years. And
tell me about her.
I miss that girl, but she's a handful. She's like, me and her, we always argued all the time. She scared me. And I told her that one day. I said, ain't no female ever scared me but you. She said, what's that supposed to mean? I said, I opened up to you way more than I've opened up to anybody else. We have a past. I brought you back to Michigan when you were younger.
So, were you upset with her specifically about, say, did you blame her for going to prison or anything like that?
No, because you want to know the funny thing about that? She put me in prison for a year. Said that I choked her, that I slammed her against the wall.
But he's adamant he wouldn't harm her.
Do you know why we want to talk to you today?
Yeah.
About what?
Because of what Caitlin did to her.
Okay. So, I'm going to ask you straight up. Were you involved in the planning and execution of her murder?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I have proof, I have witnesses, I have evidence.
What is your evidence?
It's all on the phone.
Like Bryn, he's clinging to the videos. But the videos can't save him.
Would it surprise you to know that we have a Facebook conversation between you and Bryn at Boysville that night?
No, you don't.
I can guarantee we do.
Well, this is where I need my lawyer then.
Okay. Sounds good, because
I know that's a lie.
His digital trail will be his undoing. The proof that he was at Boysville that night, and the proof that he wanted Kayla dead. He made a Facebook post on December 27th, 2022, full of derogatory comments about her. In it, he wrote, "Tonight I grim reaper. Finally woke up and realized she has to go and never come back."
For the first time, we are getting a look at all 6 people who have been arrested and charged for the murder of a Michigan woman. Stephen Bales and his wife, Narina, they were arraigned in 1st District Court of Monroe yesterday. A judge set bond for both at $1 million. Sierra Bemis, Bryn Smith, Kaylin Ramsey, Stephen and Narina Bales, they are all charged with homicide, open murder, and conspiracy to commit homicide, open murder. Alexander Fecco is charged with accessory after the fact to a felony.
Alex provided the gun and disposed of it afterwards. Narina and Sierra were lookouts. Bryn lured Kayla to Boysville, and either Kaylin or Steve pulled the trigger. But prosecutors believe that Steve was the mastermind. Alex pleads guilty to accessory after the fact. He is sentenced to 5 to 10 years in prison. Sierra and Narina plead no contest to second-degree homicide, sentenced to between 13.5 and 30 years in prison. Bryn and Kaylin plead no contest to the same charges, receiving sentences of 40 to 60 years each. Finally, Steve goes to trial. Alex, Sierra, and Narina all testify against him, and after jury deliberations of just an hour, he's found guilty of murder in the 1st degree.
You can't just eliminate someone because they irritate you or gather a bunch of sycophants to follow you in this ridiculous plan.
He's sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole. But this is cold comfort for Kayla's mother.
A state policeman woke me up and told me he had found my daughter and she had been murdered.
Somehow, Steve convinced 5 other people to participate in a murder plot. And for what? For money? For petty revenge? As a wedding gift? Kayla lost her life to senseless violence, and 6 people are now behind bars as a result. What do you think about this chilling story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we will see you very soon on The Decoder.